This is Jonathan Agnew, Fifth for Pro Boxing Fans, joined by Shane McGuigan here at the Azim Lipinets press conference. Shane, how are you?
Good, thank you, mate. Yeah, you can call it the Lipinets versus Adam Azim. It's all right. He's been the former world champion, so you know he's still humble, Adam.
Well, like you say, former world champion. He's fought a lot of good guys, and he showed a lot in that Robbie Davis fight. Why Lipinets? Was it for all those reasons?
It's a great opponent. You got to look down the list and think, like, is he going to take it? Is he going to take it? No. If they're at the start of their careers, a lot of the time they don't want to take it. They don't want hard fights. So where we potentially could have boxed somebody like a person in a similar position to Adam, they're not going to be as inclined to taking it. So guy Lipinets, you know, he knows that he needs to roll the dice, and as Ben Shalom said, he took it within 5 seconds. But we asked for it. I asked for it for the O'Hara Davies one. I asked for it for the November card, and they said that they were boxing Richardson Hitchens, and then obviously he pulled out of that because he was going to be boxing Liam Parrow for the world title, and Lipinets was left with no fight. So happy to get it over the line. I think he's a puncher. He comes forward. He's going to make Adam stay switched on. He's been in there. He's only been beaten by Boots, Garcia, and Michael Riviera. So all guys that are at that world level. And that's the sort of, that's, as I said in the press conference, that's where he feels that he's at. Lipinets, even though he's 35, he still feels like that's his level, and this guy's not on it yet, and he wants to expose him. So it's a perfect opponent, because I feel like the better the opposition, the better Adam performs.
Stylistically, who's the closest opponent on Lipinets' record to Adam Azim, when you look at it from a stylistic perspective?
I know, it's hard to say. You know, obviously Boots sort of shells up, and then you've got Garcia is a lot more traditional. He's in terms of like he doesn't have as much like twitchy sort of movements. So I don't know. I don't think he's ever fought anyone as reactive as Adam. So yeah, I think a lot of the time though, when you are a reactive fighter, when you got a guy like him that comes in off that double jab, right hook over the top, he started his combinations from like 3 or 4 feet out, and once he's throwing, he's just going to keep throwing. So you can't slip and counter too much. You sometimes got to take their attacks away with your feet and bust them up and give away the game plan too much. But you know, that's what we need. We need him to think and process things, you know, in real life time, under the lights in front of the TV when there's 8-ounce gloves on.
Just like the way you're navigating Adam's career, I'm sure your dad's involved as well. You know, talk to us about sort of how you're doing it, and is it something you both relish? Because obviously we saw the way you navigated Josh Taylor's career to a world title. Is this kind of journey something you relish?
You can get anybody beat if you choose to. It's about making sure that you match them at the right speed at the right time with the right tests, and then they become, you know, a world-class elite fighter, and they've had their tests, and they've seen different styles, seen different looks, seen punches. Have you just clicked it on, or?
I'm still on.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you look worried there. You've seen different punches, seen speedy guys, all the different styles. That's the most important thing. You've got to tick all those boxes off, so when you get to the world level and you become a world champion, you can defend it, rather than just you're a flash in the pan, win it and you lose it. So it's important, you know, for a guy that's 22 to be able to see all these different looks, figure them out, and he's in the stacked division, a 140 division. Like, it's arguably, I think it's probably the best division out there when it comes to competition. You've got so many great fighters out there in the States and even in the UK as well. So you can't just win a world title at this stage by fluke. So when you do win it, you have to be fully capable.
I spoke to George earlier. He's obviously got his fighter on the bill. How do you think he's going to do as a trainer?
Yeah, I think he's got one fighter. It's very different when you got one fighter and you got a stable of 5 or 6. And I don't know where he wants to go with his coaching. But but yeah, I've given him advice, because obviously he's been a fighter, but being a trainer is a very different thing, and what works for you might not work for them. He's got a very talented kid in Lucas, and he's young and enthusiastic and willing to learn. So yeah, I wish them all the best.
Big week for you, Shane. Obviously, Caroline defending a world title for the first time this week in Sheffield. Talk to us about what you're expecting from her.
A great performance. She's boxing Jessica Camara, who's a very good opponent. She's been up at 140, boxed some great names. I think she's obviously been elevated to WC World Champion after Katie Taylor vacated. It would have been nice to have won it in a fight, but at the same time she's still world champion, and she's started to defend her belt. But we're sort of looking at it as this is her world title fight, and this is her big breakout moment. And there's a fight on the all-females card as well. There's a slot there for her if she does come through it unscathed with no cuts, no injuries and stuff like that. So it's important for her to go out there, put on a great performance, and then make a statement and move on.
And Chris Billam-Smith, how's he getting on, and what's next for him?
He had his first day back yesterday. We dragged him down to the track. Sorry, he had his first day back on Monday, and then on Tuesday we dragged him back down to the track. So he's just gradually coming back to it. He's obviously had a fracture in his left knuckle, and he had a damaged thumb as well and stuff like that. So there was a few injuries there. So, but he's in good spirits. He says he's more motivated now than ever, which is it's a great sign. Losing at top level and then also making good money, and it's, you kind of have to reassess and start again sometimes. And I think when you get to that stage, if you don't have that mindset that you want to do that, then you're not going to be anywhere near as effective as you once were. So I like the fact that he's going back. He's like, I need to get better, which is great. That's what you've got to always strive to become a better fighter, a better person.
What do you think of Opetaia's knockout today?
I thought it was a great knockout. Yeah, I think he didn't look their best in the first couple of rounds. Looked a bit sluggish, and so did Nyika. I didn't think they weren't bringing the best out of each other. I think it was quite messy and scrappy, but there's no doubt about it. Once he hits, he's got world-class power. Once he hits people, with clean, he's putting them out. So I thought it was a great one.
Your old charge, Daniel Dubois, defending his title against Joseph Parker. How do you see the fight playing out?
I think Daniel will get to him within 4 or 5 rounds. I think I'm not going to be disrespectful to Joseph Parker, but the last few fights have flattered him. I think where he was against Jack Massey, he looked sluggish, ponderous, kept getting buzzed with the right hand because it was a speed that was getting to him. He's used to being the faster man, and even though Daniel, he is a big lump, but his hands are quick, and when he throws his 1-2, it's sharp and powerful, and it's direct as well. I just see him landing early and hurting Parker and taking him out. He's a world-class puncher. If Parker can get through the first 3 or 4 rounds and try and offset him, then he's in for a chance. But I just think it'll go early.
Lastly, Shane, what was your read of Usyk's win over Fury? How close was it to you, and what should Fury have done to come out the winner?
Sustained his attacks. He pressed for a minute, and then he's just not used to pressing. He's always been the bigger guy that he can take his gaps. He can take a little walk. He can land and then move and grab and tie up. But he couldn't do that against Usyk. Usyk was too slippery on the inside. He was too efficient with his movement, just clipping him, keeping him concentrated, backing him up as well. And then when Fury had his attacks came to him, he'd go straight back on him. I had it 7-5. I think it was quite easy to score. I think I gave one of the rounds a share, but I had it as a question mark. So I was commentating on the fight, and then when I thought about it, I was like, no, it was 7-5. I think most of us on the panel at Sky had it that way. So I think it was the right winner, but a reasonably competitive fight. But I think the first fight was a lot more competitive. I thought Fury was a lot more effective in the first fight. I think the speed was much more. He was much more of a factor. His speed in the first fight. I think when you're boxing a faster guy like that, naturally fast, faster. I mean, if you look at Usyk's best performances, they've been against slower opposition, and he tried to put size on and weight on and tried to manhandle him and do that to him, but that's not going to work against a guy like Usyk. He's so fit, so efficient, and he's so consistent with his output that, you know, he couldn't sustain a high tempo Fury at 19 stone and 6 or whatever he was.
And just on Fury Joshua, Tony Bellew said that he feels that unfortunately both are slightly past its best, but it's still going to be a massive fight. Is that still something you'd want to see, and who would you favour?
Of course, it's a massive fight. It's always a bit of a downer whenever you just know that the two of them aren't at their best, and I think, you know, for me, there's not that much interest in that fight as there was before Joshua boxed Usyk for the first one. I think that was the perfect opportunity to take it, and Eddie buckled with the pressure and put him in against Oleksandr Usyk and just held it up. And now they're not performing at their best. But what's on the line? It's not money. They both made enough money. It's not their undefeated records. Even though Joshua had a defeat at that stage, he still felt like he turned them around. So right now it's just bragging rights and ego, and I think when it gets to that, it just, you know, it's not going to be the spectacle that we want to see. I think it's still going to be an exciting fight, but I just they're doing it for different reasons, and at the end of the day, we want to put our emphasis on the best fighters on the planet, right? That we're all fans, we're all like proper fans, and we want to showcase the best fighters on the planet. So, you know, if Daniel boxed Usyk, I'd be more interested in that fight.
Do you think he could win a rematch?
I don't think he can win a rematch. I think he can make it more competitive. But I just think Usyk, once he figures them out, it's just with Daniel, he's brilliant and dangerous as anything, you know, in spurts. But he struggles to be consistent because he's a big lad. He's a very fit lad, but I just think. You know, I could be wrong, but I think Usyk will just be too efficient for him. But at the same time, he's always got that puncher's chance.
Shane, always appreciate your time. Good luck on Saturday.